best. Well, I was in Colorado, and when I'm in Colorado, I'm trying to keep up with the dogs because
So you've been doing a lot of hiking, biking?
Hiking, biking, and even though Lincoln is over 11 years old, but that guy, he's got four-wheel drive. He goes up anything. I like doing steep things, and it's remarkable. As I say, humans and dogs, the same thing. Everyone asks, what's the secret to Lincoln's health?
Yep.
Is a healthy dog, I always say, is a thin, active, hungry dog.
There you go.
And hunger is a good thing for we humans to feel as well. We shouldn't always be full and satisfied. We should go through the day feeling hungry from time to time.
Well, Lincoln is super dog. If you've never seen Lincoln, it's Andrew's beloved dog, who is just the smartest dog in the world, I believe. We're going to spend a little bit of time on circulation and vein support. If you just got home from work, maybe you've been sat all day or on your feet all day, and you've got the, heavy legs, swollen feet, tired feet, calves are swollen. Andrew, this also is about self-esteem, right? As well as being a beauty product.
It's a product that you can visibly see the difference, and I think when we visibly see a difference, we feel better about what others are going to see. And circulation, vein support, and healthy hair, skin, and nails, they both were introduced around the same time, over 20 years ago.
Right.
And healthy hair, skin, and nails is one of the original beauty vitamins on the market. Circulation, vein support, the original product in this country, as far as I know, we brought that original ingredient diosmin over.
Yes.
We've since improved the product, increasing its potency. We've, in addition to increasing the potency, we added other ingredients, but it's a product that more often than not, that I'm just dealing with skepticism with this product, because no one believes that an entirely natural product that just includes entirely natural ingredients that are present in citrus fruit, in the rind of citrus fruit, or also present in rosemary spice. But those flavonoids, those polyphenols, that they actually can have the kind of powerful benefits that this product has. So when you're looking at our circulation vein support for healthy legs, I think most of us just doubt that it could actually have the kind of impact it does. We love to offer it in January, because oftentimes in January, that's when we're starting exercising, and the health of the circulation of our legs can interfere with activity and exercise. I love to talk about it in July, because the heat is perhaps the most unfriendly environmental condition for the circulation of our legs. So whether you have legs that just seem to constantly be restless or heavy, or the blood vessels, the veins in your legs, the appearance of the veins in your legs have continued to worsen with time. Perhaps standing too much or sitting too much or just aging, or perhaps overweight or obesity might contribute further to the circulation in the your leg veins not being what they used to be. This is a product that's worth a try. The reviews in this product are absolutely incredible. 95% of the reviews are positive reviews. Over 85% of the reviews are perfect 5-star reviews. So it's a product that truly performs in a fashion that most people believe that only a drug could perform like this. And this is not a drug. It's a natural product. You simply take 2 capsules daily. In Europe, these ingredients, diosmin in particular, is respected and prescribed by medical doctors for the healthy circulation of their patients' legs. Here, we don't treat it like a drug. We don't treat it like a medicine. We're not offering it for any medical conditions. What's interesting about the product as well, some of the reviews discuss this, not only the circulation in your legs, but oftentimes you'll notice that swelling in your hands.
Sure.
Your rings might get tight. I don't wear a ring, but your rings will get tight. I'll notice, when you hike or things like that, or walk a lot, you could notice it. That's another benefit you'll notice with this product. Also, there's another part of our body, and without being indiscreet or impolite, the issue of hemorrhoids. But hemorrhoids is something that, to the extent we could keep those blood vessels in those veins healthier, then we're not going to be as susceptible to those tissues becoming enlarged or swollen. So again, it's a natural product. We all suffer from this. It's the human condition.
Right.
The blood vessels in our legs. It's just challenged circulation because we walk and stand upright. We stand too much, we sit too much. And as we age, there are certain parts of our body that communicate the aging process more effectively than others, or more clearly. And each one of us, it's a little different. But when it comes to the circulation in our legs, we will all eventually experience it. And this is a product with an unconditional money-back guarantee. You'll love the product, or you send it back.
There are, to Andrew's point, over 2,300 perfect 5-star reviews. So the majority of folks say this product delivered on every single level. What's exciting this month is that you're getting the monthly special pricing. Now, we're already towards the end of July, can't believe it. So this is a chance to be able to really jump on in and save a lot of money. That's what it typically would be.
And what's great, a 360 capsule supply is a 6-month supply.
Right.
The only time of year where we will have a price better than this price will be in January or February. So you're gonna have to go to the beginning of next year when we do a Today Special at the beginning of the year for this product. So it would be perfect timing to try this, to enjoy it. And this is, as I said, there will never be a price lower than this price this year or any year, except for the beginning of next year when we do our Today Special. So it's an opportunity to save. It'll be the best price of this year.
And Andrew, a lot of people have been saying behind the scenes as well that, because normally you have kind of back-to-back weekends in the summertime.
Right.
This is your only visit.
You know, we've kind of changed our schedule a little bit, and I'm not going to be back until later in September.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
so we're just on for our normal. We're on this evening, tomorrow afternoon, and then tomorrow evening, and then I'm not back until September. So we're rearranging the schedule a little bit. It makes it easier to keep up with production because, again, we manufacture everything. So when we do these back-to-back weekends, it's very difficult to manufacture everything. So we're kind of spreading things out a little bit. It sounds like it's raining outside.
It does.
It was the lightning this evening in
Did you
Florida.
fly in this evening?
I didn't fly in this evening, no, but we were just driving around. We went to dinner, and Muriel and I, and it's like the 4th of July, the lightning. I guess they say Florida is the lightning capital of the U.S.
It is.
And it's pretty amazing, Mother Nature at work here, but I could hear the rain outside.
Well, it's funny, talking to Mother Nature and the weather, they just showed the video of, and let's see it again, of your amazing facility.
Well, and it's very interesting. You can see in the background, you can see the solar panels. That's in the middle over our parking lot.
Yeah.
And then the solar panels over the new part of the building, the solar panels on top of the roof in the back. But it just underscores the power of the sun. I remember being told at the time that you could never power a facility with solar panels. We have had no power bill for probably over 20 years. So, and remember, we're cooling those facilities. We manufacture everything in Henderson, Nevada. So when it's 115 degrees outside, those facilities are cool and comfortable, and all of that comes courtesy of the sun. So we pride ourselves on being not just the maker of the finest and most pure vitamins in the world, because we use no additives. Everything's in an ultrafine powder that won't upset your stomach, but the most environmental company as well. Our facility is LEED certified, environmentally certified. Everything is entirely solar powered. Right. We use no fossil fuels to make our products. We have no carbon footprint whatsoever. And then, of course, we also pride ourselves on being socially responsible. That as long as we are blessed to take care of ourselves with healthy supplements in terms of things like our circulation, that we make sure that millions or tens of millions of women around the world, 1/4 of them right here in America, we provide a prenatal vitamin to needy mothers around the world. So for every bottle you might get, we give away 4 30-day supplies of prenatal vitamins to needy mothers around the world. So we try to not just make the finest vitamins in the world, but make sure we have no impact on the planet that's environmentally negative, and a very positive impact on the planet where there's a need.
If we have, and let me tell you, they just gave me the number 37.5 million and counting. That number gets bigger every time somebody shops.
Oh, I think it's more than 1 billion vitamins have been shared worldwide. And again, as I said, 1/4 of them right here in America.
So folks, we're wrapping up our circulation and vein support monthly special. If you're watching and thinking, if it resonates with you, if you're fed up and tired of the way that you're struggling at the end of the day with swollen calves or feet or ankles, or at nighttime you get into bed and it's kind of heavy.
And it's sort of funny, it creeps up on us with time and age and our lifestyle and habits that I think we just think those things that creep up on us gradually, we can't do anything about. It's just a gradual onslaught passage of time. But this product really can make a profound difference. And all those reviews, they might seem unanimously positive. We don't pull out the negative reviews. They're all reviews from individuals who have used the product, so it can make a profound difference. For me, it's perhaps right up there with Healthy Hair, Skin, and Nails, two of the most exciting products because they are see and feel the difference products. We'll be reading reviews about the appearance of, say, spider veins and veins in the legs and enlarged blood vessels. We'll be reading reviews about just the way legs feel at the end of the day, or how you sleep, whether cramps or things like that. I'll start reading reviews tomorrow for the monthly specials, but I encourage you to read the reviews too, because they speak more clearly and passionately than I ever could.
I think it's quality of life. We go along with things because we don't know necessarily there's an easier way or a better way. This is a natural tool. People always ask me, Andrew, when I talk about you and your vitamins, people always say, well, you know, there's wonderful reviews, but are there side effects to this? Is there anything negative that can happen?
No, what is it? The first rule is first do no harm. And all of our products, not only are they designed to not do any harm, we don't want to cause any issues or problems. Most supplements are in tablets. They're hard to swallow. Yeah. Now there's this whole craze of gummies. The last thing any of us need is dozens of calories of sugar with our vitamins. There used to be, they talked about the old FDA rules, they used to call it the jelly bean rule.
Right.
That you couldn't simply take a jelly bean, put some vitamins in it, and call it healthy.
Right.
That's what gummies are. And in fact, we'll try and develop a gummy that, instead of using all these unhealthy ingredients, why doesn't someone make a gummy out of, say, collagen peptides, and sweeten it naturally without sugars? So that's something we will try to do. If people insist on having gummies, the gummies shouldn't be unhealthy, because these are supposed to be healthy products. So we make a product that not only does no harm, but it causes no problems, easy to swallow, will never upset your stomach. There are no additives or allergens to worry about. Everything I make is gluten-free. Everything I make is designed to just give you the benefits you dream of and cause no problems at all. That is really our mantra. That is how we go about doing everything. All benefit, zero problems. And we make everything so